Coming up on Arirang News. From critical minerals and energy to power plants and infrastructure, South Korea and Kazakhstan signed deals agreeing to strengthen their economic security and supply chain cooperation and boost exchanges. A 4.8 magnitude earthquake rocked South Korea's Buan-gun County in Jeollabuk-do Province this morning, marking the country's strongest in years. K-pop megaband BTS members briefly reunited after Jin officially got discharged from South Korea's army today, becoming the first among the bandmates to complete the country's mandatory military service. Good evening, it's 9 p.m. here in Seoul. Thank you for joining us on Arirang News. We start with President Yoon Suk-yeol's second stop on his three-nation tour of Central Asia, Kazakhstan. He held a summit there today with Kazakh President Kassym-Jomart Tokayev, agreeing to bolster their cooperation in various fields. Our presidential correspondent Oh Soo-young is in Astana and files this report.
South Korea and Kazakhstan have agreed to work together to secure energy, resources and critical mineral supplies, inking bilateral deals to bolster their strategic partnership. This came on Wednesday as President Yoon Suk-yeol and his Kazakh counterpart Kassym-Jomart Tokayev held a summit in Astana and oversaw the signing of 11 memorandums of understanding.
우리 두 정상은 세계적인 복합 위기와 불확실성에 직면한 오늘날 글로벌 중추국가를 지향하는 한국과 새로운 카자흐스탄 건설을 추구하는 카자흐스탄 간의 협력이 그 어느 때보다 중요하다는 데 의견을 같이 했습니다. 이를 위해 우리 두 정상은 전략적 동반자 관계를 더욱 호혜적이고 미래지향적인 파트너십으로 키워나가기로 했습니다.
More than 700 Korean companies in Kazakhstan with Korean capital are operating successfully. Going forward, we are interested in strengthening cooperation in the fields of infrastructure, industry, finance, energy, environment, automotive, aerospace, AI, and electronics.
According to their joint statement, the two sides agreed to further energy cooperation, with Kazakhstan to continue supplying Korea with uranium and crude oil, and consider the possibility of increasing uranium supplies. They also agreed to cooperate on power generation, with South Korea seeking to help its firms secure power plant modernization and renewable energy projects in Kazakhstan. Also, as South Korea is in need of critical minerals to back its foremost high-tech industries, such as semiconductors, Seoul signed a deal to foster partnerships with Kazakhstan across the entire cycle of exploration, mining and smelting of major minerals, including lithium. They will also provide opportunities for Korean firms to participate in prioritized fields of development and production of minerals. Further deals will support collaborations on Kazakhstan's national infrastructure projects. The summit also laid the groundwork for future-oriented cooperation through knowledge sharing for development policies and increasing training and exchanges of talents in science, technology and ICT. To jointly respond to climate change, Seoul and Astana will cooperate on greenhouse gas reduction projects and forestry. People-to-people exchanges is another focal point, with Kazakhstan being home to some 120,000 ethnic Koreans. The two sides agreed to boost exchanges in culture, tourism, education and sport, and resume direct flights from Astana to Incheon. As they strengthen solidarity on various fronts, Seoul and Astana also discussed regional and global security. They called for the denuclearization of North Korea, deeming it a necessary step for global peace and stability, and urging the regime to cease its provocations. Kazakhstan, with its history of nuclear disarmament, supported Yoon's audacious initiative of offering economic benefits for the North's denuclearization. Going forward, the two leaders expressed their will to continue their summit exchanges, with Tokayev accepting Yoon's invitation to visit Korea. Yoon, since Monday, has been on a week-long tour of 3 Central Asian countries. Marking 15 years of their strategic partnership, the two sides agreed to reinforce and broaden their cooperation to the regional level, to back South Korea's new K-Silk Road initiative to engage with Central Asian countries in economic security, development and culture. Oh Soo-young, Arirang News, Astana.
Meanwhile, pundits believe the time is right for efforts to enhance strategic cooperation between South Korea and Central Asia, especially amid the current climate of geopolitical uncertainty. Our Park Gun-woo covers their thoughts.
South Korea aims to strengthen its economic cooperation with Central Asian countries that possess rich energy reserves and natural resources. Those countries include Turkmenistan, which has the world's fourth largest natural gas reserve, and Kazakhstan, which ranks 12th in the world for oil, according to a recent report by the Korea International Trade Association. And according to one expert, countries in Central Asia have even bigger potential.
They have abundant minerals including uranium, chromium, titanium, and more. Those countries also have a stable supply chain to export these resources. There are still lots of undiscovered resources in the Caspian Sea, and as the situation in the Middle East is unstable, we need a new stable source of crude oil, and Kazakhstan can be it.
The expert added that a growing population and GDP also make Central Asia attractive. Despite this, economic exchanges between South Korea and Central Asia have been comparatively small. According to a recent report by Kita, the value of imports from Central Asia to South Korea came to around $3.6 billion in 2023, down 25.3% on year. The total investment input to countries in Central Asia from Seoul from 1980 through 2023 was $3.8 billion. That's only about 2% of the total investments in the US during the same period. An expert gave his explanation as to why exchanges have been so limited.
First of all, geography is a barrier for us because we are not immediate neighbors. And second of all, I think geopolitics is not in our favor because Korea is divided and the Central Asian countries are landlocked and surrounded by countries which are sanctioned by the West.
And that's why President Yoon Suk-yeol is currently in Central Asia to strengthen economic relationships with countries there.
It's very important for leaders to come together, to be in the same room and to talk about agendas of both sides. For example, for Kazakhstan, it is very important to switch from resource-based development to more value-added version of production, industrial, building industrial facilities, etc. Collaboration is the key for both sides to succeed in a very important venture because we are living in a very difficult world.
Several MOUs that could bolster economic partnerships between Korean countries in Central Asia have already been signed during President Yoon's visit. Watchers will be focusing on whether South Korea can broaden economic cooperation even further, particularly for energy and natural resources. Park Gun-woo, Arirang News.
This morning, a 4.8 magnitude earthquake struck the county of Buan in Jeollabuk-do Province. While no serious injuries have been reported, the authorities warn of lasting aftershocks in the coming days. Our Lee Si-hoo reports. A magnitude 4.8 earthquake hit Buan-gun County in Jeollabuk-do Province on Wednesday morning at 8:26. The quake struck at an estimated depth of 8 kilometers. This was the strongest earthquake detected in the country since the 2017 quake in Pohang. It's also the first time a quake stronger than magnitude 4 has hit the province. At least 16 aftershocks have since been detected. The Korea Meteorological Administration has warned that potential tremors may occur over the next several days. No serious injuries have been reported thus far, but over 315 reports about tremors were filed with the fire and emergency authorities. Some reports came from the neighboring Chungcheong-do Province as well as farther north in the capital region. There were also reports of broken windows, cracked walls, and damaged fences.
The Ministry of the Interior and Safety has raised the nation's disaster control alert to level 1, the first in its 3-stage system, while issuing the third highest earthquake alert in its 4-level system. The authorities continue to monitor the situation while operating an emergency response system. Meanwhile, President Yoon, currently on a Central Asia tour, has called for a prompt damage assessment and an extensive safety check. Likewise, Prime Minister Han Duck-soo has urged the relevant ministries to remain alert with public safety at the forefront of all response measures. 이시후, Arirang News.
Professors at 40 medical schools across the country have decided to join junior doctors for a walkout next week against the government's medical school quota expansion. The Medical Professors Association of Korea told Yonhap News Agency on Wednesday that they have decided to take a day off next Tuesday in solidarity with the Korea Medical Association, but added that things could differ between hospitals and professors. In a separate move, medical professors at some of the largest university hospitals have decided to take days off. Professors at 8 hospitals under the Catholic University of Korea will not be taking patients on the 18th, while professors at Seoul National University and Yonsei University's Severance Hospital divisions voted to hold an indefinite walkout starting next Monday and the 27th, respectively. Moving on to the power struggle at the National Assembly. After unilaterally electing chairs of key committees, the main opposition party held a meeting of the Legislation and Judiciary Committee on Wednesday to push through key legislation. The first meeting of a committee under the 22nd National Assembly put forward a bill for a special investigation into the death of a young Marine last year, which the previous assembly had turned down following a presidential veto. The committee's Democratic Party Deputy Chairman Kim Seung-won stated that he'll seek to forward the bill to a plenary session by early July. The ruling People Power Party, which did not attend the meeting, plans to advise President Yoon to exercise his veto power if the new assembly passes the bill. The prosecution on Wednesday indicted main opposition Democratic Party Chairman Lee Jae-myung for alleged third-party bribery involving a private firm's unauthorized remittance of money to North Korea 5 years ago. The Suwon District Prosecutor's Office indicted Lee without detention on accusations that he was involved in the illegal transfer of money from the company Sangbangul to North Korea back in 2019 while serving as the governor of Gyeonggi-do Province. Prosecutors alleged the firm made the transfer on behalf of Lee and the province. This additional charge puts the DP leader under 4 ongoing trials. In response, Lee called the case a sham, while the DP called it a politically motivated oppression against the opposition. In other news, mounting animosity here on the Korean Peninsula amid North Korea's provocations has led to a rare public display of deterrence by South Korea's Navy. Our defense correspondent Choi Min-jung has more on the SLBM-capable 3,000-ton submarine, Ahn Mu.
South Korean forces in the 3,000-ton submarine Ahn Mu get ready to launch a torpedo attack against a hypothetical North Korean submarine, which is intruding on the de facto maritime border.
적 잠수함에 대한 어뢰 공격 준비.
어뢰 공격 준비. 1번 어뢰 발사 준비 끝.
좋아. 1번 어뢰 카운트다운으로 발사.
카운트다운으로 발사. 발사 5초 전. 4, 3, 2, 1. 발사.
South Korea's Navy conducted the training on Tuesday with the Ahn Mu in waters off the port city of Busan. The training involved striking an enemy submarine and ship with torpedoes, as well as ground-based enemy targets using submarine-launched ballistic missiles. The drill was aimed at enhancing detection and striking capabilities amid escalating threats from North Korea, especially with continued trash balloon deliveries and missile launches.
All crew members of the Ahn Mu are at the highest level of combat readiness. If the enemy provokes us, we will destroy and punish them underwater immediately, strongly, and until the end.
The Ahn Mu is a core asset of the South's kill chain preemptive strike system, a pillar of the 3-axis defense system designed to deter North Korean attacks. It's armed with torpedoes, mines, and guided missiles, and equipped with vertical launching tubes for SLBMs to strike ground targets. The submarine also features the latest noise reduction technologies and uses an air-independent propulsion system that helps it survive longer underwater. It's the second of 3 Dosan Anchangho-class 3,000-ton submarines, which are capable of carrying 50 crew members. Tuesday's training with the Ahn Mu was the first to be open to the public, involving the Navy's 3,000-ton class submarine. Choi Min-jung, Arirang News.
The oldest member of BTS, Jin, became the first member to finish his mandatory military service today. His bandmates who are still serving in the military applied for leave to celebrate his discharge from the army. Our Cha Yun-kyung has more.
Jin of K-pop group BTS was discharged from the army on Wednesday morning after serving as an assistant instructor in the 5th Infantry Division's boot camp. As soon as Jin walked out of the camp, he saluted a small number of fans and reporters and then greeted other members of BTS who had taken military leave to celebrate his discharge. Suga was the only member missing as he's performing alternate service. On Thursday, Jin is scheduled to attend 2024 Festa at Jamsil Indoor Gymnasium in Seoul and meet with the BTS Army fandom to celebrate the 11th anniversary of the boy band's debut. Jin is expected to give out hugs to up to 1,000 fans at the first part of the event, amid other programs for the Army later. Expectations for BTS comeback as a group are growing after Jin completed his military duty. Among other BTS members still serving in the military, J-Hope will be the next to be discharged in October. Cha Yun-kyung, Arirang News.
Elsewhere, the World Bank has revised upward its growth projection for the world economy on prospects of steady U.S. market expansion. Our Kim Bo-kyung has details.
A rosier global growth outlook for this year. The World Bank has projected the global growth outlook for 2024 to be at 2.6%, expecting the global economy to stabilize for the first time in 3 years. This is an upgrade from its previous prediction of 2.4% made in January, and the agency further expects global growth to edge up to an average of 2.7% in 2025 and 2026.
We see after 3 years consecutive weakness in terms of growth, we will see stable growth this year. Growth is going to be around 2.6%, and in fact next year we are expecting a little bit of a pickup.
After a long slump due to COVID-19, the global economy has been expanding steadily since 2021 as the world recovered from the impact of the pandemic. Yet the World Bank pointed out that global growth remains weak compared to past standards, as there had been an average of 3.1% annual growth in the decade before COVID-19. It is worth noting that the revised forecast also owes much to the growth in the U.S. economy, while prospects for the world's poorest nations are worrying. The agency forecasts the U.S. economy to expand 2.5% this year, the same as last year, but up sharply from the bank's previous prediction of just 1.6% in January. Meanwhile, developing economies are projected to grow 4% on average this year, slightly slower than in 2023, with the World Bank highlighting their punishing levels of debt service and constricting trade possibilities. The World Bank, in fact, has downgraded its forecast in 3 out of 4 low-income economies since January. Global inflation is expected to drop to 3.5% this year and 2.9% in 2025. But with a slower than expected pace of decline, many central banks are forecast to remain cautious over lowering interest rates. Kim Bo-kyung, Arirang News.
The local labor market appears to be cooling. Employment in May expanded at the slowest pace in well over 3 years. Our economics correspondent Moon Hae-ryun covers the latest findings.
South Korea's job market slowed in May with a national holiday affecting results. According to Statistics Korea on Wednesday, employment grew by just 80,000 people compared to the same month last year, with a total of 28.92 billion people in jobs. And despite the employment rate for 15 to 64-year-olds reaching an all-time high at 70%, that figure represents the lowest growth seen in over 3 years since February 2021. The agency attributed the decline to the fact that Buddha's birthday fell during the week of measurement this year, as the data is collected during the week in which the 15th falls every month. Buddha's birthday in South Korea is celebrating using the lunar calendar, so the date differs every year. This year, it happened to fall on the 15th. A spokesperson explained that other factors could have come into play behind this decline in job growth.
Following the end of the COVID-19 pandemic, there was a high accumulation in the number of employed people, so this is continuing to act as a base effect.
The job market has seen fluctuations over the past few months, with over 300,000 more people in employment on year in January and February. There was a dip below the 200,000 mark in March before a recovery in April. Employment in the manufacturing sector has been booming due to an upturn in the semiconductor industry, with 38,000 more people hired on year. Other sectors that also saw an upswing were the food and hospitality sectors. However, the retail sector has been seeing a decline in employment for some time now, and last month was no exception, with a decline of 73,000 on year posted as the industry becomes more automated. With South Korea's aging population, the number of people in employment aged over 60 years old has continued to increase. 265,000 more people in that age group were in jobs in May this year compared to last year. But decline continued for those between 15 and 29 years old, as well as for those in their 40s. 문혜련, Arirang News.
In other news, Fubao, the giant panda that moved to China in April after being born and spending its younger years in Korea, today made its first public appearance since the move. At the Sichuan Giant Panda Sanctuary, Fubao appeared to be in good health and was seen eating and relaxing. Fubao was the first giant panda naturally born and bred in South Korea. She was transferred from Korea's Everland theme park to China at 3 years of age due to China's policy that all cubs of pandas on lease from China must be returned upon reaching sexual maturity.
The temperature in Gangneung, where there have been tropical nights for 2 days, rose to nearly 35 degrees Celsius today. Tomorrow morning, the temperature in Gangneung is forecast to be 24 degrees, so it's possible that there will be another tropical night. As the early heat wave continues, the number of people suffering from heat-related illnesses is increasing rapidly. Please take care of your health. The heat wave will continue until Friday, while the whole country is under clear weather. Tomorrow, the temperature in Seoul is expected to rise to the highest so far this year at 32 degrees, both tomorrow and Friday. Tomorrow will start off at around 20 degrees all over the country. Highs will be topping out at 33 in Chuncheon, Gwangju, and Gyeongju. Daejeon and Daegu, 34 degrees. There will be another rain in the Seoul metropolitan area, western Gangwon-do Province, and on Jeju Island this coming weekend. That's all for Korea. Here are the weather conditions around the world.
Well, that brings an end to this newscast tonight. Thank you for watching. We'll be back with the most up-to-date news tomorrow at 9 a.m. Korea time with New Day at Arirang. Good night.